A giant monster suddenly attacks an offshore drilling platform. Workers flee in panic amid bloodshed, but are still crushed into minced meat by the monster's huge limbs. The monster carries away the whole drilling platform. While a submarine is performing a secret mission nearby, suddenly, a crew member shouts that a mysterious creature is approaching them. Before anyone can react, what exactly is this terrifying giant monster? And can the submarine escape from its clutches? During the Cold War, a Russian-built missile submarine is on a secret mission in the Greenland Sea. The mission is actually not difficult, and the captain can even take time for a cup of lemon coffee. Meanwhile, geologist Ali on the Arctic ice is conducting scientific sampling, and all monitored data starts off normal. Her assistant successfully detonates explosives and completes sampling in one area, but eerily, the equipment suddenly sounds an emergency alarm. Sensing something wrong, the geologist hurries to collect data as the assistant yells, "We need to run for our lives." The two then quickly board a snowmobile, but their escape speed can't match the ice's cracking pace. Something seems ready to break through the ice from the ocean floor. Suddenly, the assistant jams on the brakes and tumbles to the ground. The snowmobile crashes into the ice and is destroyed. As the two look back at the camp, they realize all their colleagues have died in the explosion, and Ali and her assistant weep uncontrollably. The submarine underwater also detects abnormal sonar signals, intense biological noise. Before the crew can figure out the situation, the submarine is violently hit, then dragged by some force and rapidly sinks to the ocean depths. Seeing the critical situation, the captain presses the emergency button and successfully launches the submarine's emergency buoy. Military high-ranking official Mike learns of the submarine's mysterious disappearance. It's crucial that the vessel carried something extraordinary, a sonic weapon capable of disrupting marine ecosystems. They must find a way to bring it back secretly, if not, destroy it on the spot. In short, the weapon must never fall into others' hands, so the High Command discusses countermeasures right away, and decides to send a team to the Greenland Sea for secret investigation and rescue. The High Command identifies the operative, Wade, the missing captain's younger brother. This special relationship ensures his proactive involvement, and as the youngest captain in the Northern Fleet, Wade is perfectly suited for the mission, and Wade is desperate to find his brother. He goes home to pack right away. His brother's two sons are unaware of their father's disappearance, and happily show their drawings. Looking at his young nephews, Wade dares not delay any longer. But Wade's mother is deeply worried about her son's mission. Her husband died in the line of duty, and she can't bear to lose her son too, so she hands Wade his father's relics, hoping they will protect him. Shortly after, Wade drives to the dock with Mike, but Wade remains the highest-ranking officer on board. After a brief conversation, they board the submarine. Ali is still trying to call for help, and almost falls into an abyss. Luckily, they receive a signal from an ice reconnaissance station. Ali excitedly yells, "We need rescue," but the signal cuts out. Before she can explain, they pin their hopes on the flare in their bag, but after walking through the snow for hours, the assistant collapses. The next day, under Wade's command, the submarine arrives at the designated area and begins to dive. So far, all is normal. Meanwhile, Ali and her assistant regain some strength. As they prepare to continue seeking help, they find a strange object in the snow. It's the submarine's emergency buoy. Reading the text, Ali tells her assistant, "This is Russian, maybe we should stay here and wait." Wade's team receives the buoy signal, and heads toward it right away. But they soon meet with a pod of whales that approach the submarine. Just as they think to avoid them, a whale rams the submarine. A crew member who studies animals says, the whales seem frightened and the ramming might be a warning. But Wade brushes it off, and orders the crew to use sonar to drive the whales away. Strangely, the whales leave briefly but regroup around the submarine. As the crew wonders about the whale's behavior, someone reports abnormal readings from the ocean floor. Before they can react, the whales vanish. The last remaining whale, searching for its pod, is suddenly swatted by an unseen force. The crew member yells that they can't identify the object underwater, only knowing it's approaching at high speed. Mike doesn't hesitate, shouting, "Fire torpedoes when it gets closer, prepare right away." But Wade retorts, "We don't know if it's a fish or an enemy. Hasty action could have severe consequences." He orders the crew to proceed, directing the submarine to navigate through a 2 nautical-mile ice channel ahead for emergency evasion. This makes Mike so angry that he almost swears. The ice channel is very dangerous. Any poor navigation could be fatal, so everyone must stay fully alert. Worse still, the submarine suddenly stops mid-journey, creating a tense situation. Thankfully, the pursuing object changes direction. Now Wade's team must inspect the malfunction. Mike can't sit still, and recites Article 160 of the Naval Regulations. When navigating under ice, the captain must ensure the hull, propellers, and rudder remain undamaged. Wade's decision clearly violates this rule, so Mike mentally notes a major demerit against him. The crew inspects and finds the submarine's turbines have stopped, and multiple compartments are damaged. They must first surface for repairs, so Wade commands the submarine to dive again, searching for ice fissures or open water nearby. Allie and her assistant, huddled for warmth, suddenly hear a strange noise from the ice. They open their eyes to find a submarine in front of them. Wade sees them too and sends crew members to investigate. After frisking them and finding no weapons, the crew reports to Wade. They're 2 foreigners. Wade approaches to negotiate. Allie explains they're from a national geological expedition. Their camp exploded, and only they survived. They stayed after finding the emergency buoy on the ice. Wade rushes to the buoy and recognizes it as his brothers. What luck, he thinks. Wade then asks if they've seen others. When they say no, his attitude suddenly hardens. The submarine is inspected and deemed operational, so Wade orders a new dive. After all, the ship's secrets must be protected, and the strangers' identities are unknown. But Wade still contacts land to arrange their safe evacuation. As the hatch is about to close, Wade relents at the sight of their desperate pleas. Rescue is hours away, and they might not survive the freezing cold. He allows them on board, has the doctor perform a basic check, and orders no movement between compartments. Hungry Allie then heads to the mess hall. While she's busy eating, Wade comes over to ask a few questions. He learns that Allie has grown up in Russia as a child before moving to Sweden, and her assistant is French. Wade then asks Allie what she has done in recent days, and whether she has noticed anything unusual during the scientific expedition. Allie says that to better study the conditions under the ice, they has received orders to detonate double-dose explosives, but the ice has cracked in an eerie way, trembling wildly as if it comes to life. After finishing, Wade goes back to the command room and tells Mike that his brother's submarine must have been accidentally damaged by the geologists with explosives, and it should now be resting in the depths of the ocean. But Mike says there's no basis for this, and demands reporting the matter to the fleet command first, so they can be aware that there's an unclassifiable and seriously threatening presence in the area. But with the antenna damaged, they can't send an emergency danger signal, so they should return to base quickly to report the situation. But Wade is determined to find his brother's submarine, and orders the crew to sail toward the sea area, where the geologists' camp is located. Wade is then called aside for a private meeting, where Mike records another major demerit against him, and warns that he won't get a third chance. But Wade has his reasons for doing so. Considering the timeline Allie has mentioned, the oxygen in his brother's submarine won't last much longer. Even if there's only the slimmest chance, he has to find it and bring the crew back as soon as possible. Allie hears a strange noise and asks what's happening. The assistant says it's sonar, guessing that Wade and his team are searching for the missing submarine. But not long after setting off, the crew reports that biological noise has reappeared, and something is rapidly approaching them, with a collision expected in 3 minutes. Upon hearing this, Wade orders the crew to look for an ice shelter, but the area they are in is completely open with no cover, so Wade tells everyone to contact the ice reconnaissance station right away. Luckily, the Norwegian drilling platform receives the alarm signal and responds promptly, but before anyone can celebrate, a crew member suddenly yells that the approaching object has changed direction. Where has it gone? At the same time, staff at the Norwegian drilling platform notices an abnormality in the sea. It's the first time they has seen such a situation, and they're just about to tell the workers to take cover. The whole drilling platform is thrown into chaos right away. Workers shout and flee in all directions, only to be smashed into pulp by the giant octopus tentacles. By now, Wade has commanded the submarine to surface, and they are dumbfounded by the scene before their eyes. The huge drilling platform has been crushed into a mass by a colossal creature. Before everyone can snap out of their shock, A crew member suddenly yells, "We're in danger," realizing the monster has targeted them again. Wade, coming to his senses, orders an immediate dive, but the creature still charges toward them. Realizing they must act, Mike relieves Wade of his position and tells the crew, "Follow my command from now on, fire torpedoes right away." But the torpedo loading is painfully slow. After much difficulty, 2 torpedoes are finally loaded and fired at Mike's command. Seeing the target hit, the crew almost pops open champagne on the spot, but before the excitement lasts 2 seconds, a crew member spots something wrong and yells, "It's still moving." Mike, who was proud just seconds ago, is stunned and orders, "Prepare 2 more." Everyone is now frantically busy, while the dismissed Wade can only stay aside in silence. Just then, the 3rd and 4th torpedoes detonate, but the giant creature continues advancing, meaning the torpedoes have no effect at all. Seeing it's about to collide, Mike is at a loss for what to do next. Wade, finally unable to stand by, tells him to step aside and rushes forward to take command. This attack seriously injures a crew member, but thanks to Wade's timely command to evade, the rest survive for the moment. But the damaged submarine is now plummeting, and the cockpit is in chaos. Before anyone can react, the monster launches a second fierce attack, and the torpedo bay bursts into flames. Thankfully, the bulkheads are sealed, and the 7 crew members in the torpedo bay are unharmed. Wade orders, "Use fire extinguishers right away." With torpedoes now inoperable, the submarine is approaching its maximum depth. Wade asks for the monster's location, only to be told, "It's everywhere." Now the submarine is already at its breaking point. One more hit and it's done for, so Wade can only order a silent mode. Maybe they can escape by making no sound. But the fire in the torpedo bay is still burning, and the concentrations of carbon monoxide and nitrogen monoxide are rising. Any noise will definitely give them away. Just then, Wade receives a call from the torpedo bay. The crew says they're almost being roasted to death, but Wade says they have no choice, and asks the torpedo bay crew to hold on. It's known that deep-sea fish generally have poor eyesight, and mostly locate by sound, and this giant creature is no exception. After holding on for a long time, the submarine finally slips out of the creature's encirclement. Wade orders the torpedo bay crew to continue firefighting, but the fire is too fierce. Finally, he has to abandon the weapons, and let the crew evacuate to save their lives. Even so, to prevent the fire from spreading to other compartments, the crew suffer burns of varying degrees during evacuation. The infirmary is filled with wounded right away. Seeing the shortage of hands, Allie and her assistant don't stand by, and hurry to help treat the injured. After ordering the injection of Freon into the torpedo bay, Wade finally extinguishes the fire, and goes to the infirmary to check on the situation. Allie treats Wade's wound and realizes they aren't bad people. Wade no longer restricts their movement. With the danger temporarily averted, everyone starts discussing what the giant creature is, but no matter what it is, they now have no torpedo protection, and the hull can't take more damage. They should go back right away. Though reluctant, Wade knows he can't risk everyone's lives, and commands the submarine to go back to base. During the return journey, Wade takes out a letter his father wrote to him. It turns out that his father was also a submarine captain, but a wrong decision had put all crew members in danger, and he finally cost his life to save the rest. Among the rescued crew was Mike. Wade is feeling sentimental when Allie suddenly walks in, asking for a map to look at. Wade doesn't refuse. With the map, Allie analyzes, based on underwater explosion data, she believes there's a biological nest in the folds of the Nansen submarine basin. The seismic exploration explosion there must have awakened it, killing the 17 colleagues at the scientific research camp. Allie then adds that in college, she read an ancient book recording that sailors at sea had been attacked by an abyss monster, as big as an island. It resembled a giant octopus and was called Kraken, a terrifying sea predator. It later vanished without a trace, with some guessing it has fallen into a deep sleep, but now it's awake. The submarine must turn off its hydroacoustic detection sonar to survive. This device can stimulate and attract the Kraken, putting everyone in danger. Wade thinks it sounds like a fantasy and asks Allie, "Since you know so much, can you tell me where the missing submarine is?" She replies, "Octopuses like to drag prey back to their nests. Maybe finding the nest will lead us to what we're looking for, so we should explore the Nansen Basin." Just then, a crew member reports detecting a faint sound, something rhythmically knocking on metal. and the source is the Nansen Basin, as Ali says. This means his brother and the missing crew may still be alive. Wade boosts the crew's morale and directs them toward the basin. The submarine has now reached the search area. Just when they think no more trouble will occur, the kitchen meal bell suddenly rings. Wade quickly orders surfacing to 850 meters. Luckily, it's a close call, but with over 5,000 meters to the basin floor, they can only launch the central submersible to investigate. Calling the pilot over, he says his partner is injured and he can't pilot alone. Wade offers to fill in, but the pilot doubts his ability. Wade has to mention, he has worked on a mini submarine for 2 years. Soon the three go into the central submersible, detach from the submarine, and begin exploring the basin below. After diving for a long time with no findings, a crew member says, if we don't find anything in a few more minutes, they will have to turn back. Luckily, after diving a bit further, they actually receive a response, so they head toward the source right away. They find a large number of sunken shipwrecks here, and search carefully among them, finally locating the missing submarine. Although badly damaged, it's the most intact compared to other ships. Wade orders an immediate approach for docking, but the water currents won't make it easy. Everyone's hearts rise to their throats right away. After successfully docking, everyone breathes a sigh of relief, but the mission has just begun. Wade changes into a diving suit and prepares to go down to explore. The crew member who hears the sound opens the hatch right away. When seeing living beings standing before him, Wade tearfully reveals his identity, and his brother responds upon hearing the voice, seeing everyone alive. All are so excited that they dance with joy. This is definitely a miracle. Then the crew member who can operate the submersible on the missing submarine goes up to assist, and several others are selected. But Wade needs to stay by his brother's side. After all, he still has a mission. The rest continue to hide in the cabin waiting for rescue. With everything ready, the submersible successfully separates. The rescued crew installs a beacon on the missing submarine. This device, like a lighthouse, will help the submersible quickly locate the position when returning. But it makes too much noise, and the crew, fearing the monster, asks him to turn off right away. What the submersible needs to do next is to transport everyone back to the submarine above in batches. Luckily, the first transport is very smooth, but when preparing for the next operation, the rescued crew member is too badly injured to move, and without a partner, there's no way to go down to rescue again. Just when everyone is very anxious, Ali thinks of her assistant and begs him to help rescue the person. The assistant is agreeable, saying he has served on a submarine for 4 years, is very familiar with the equipment, and asks them to trust him. So a new round of rescue begins, but it seems to be mealtime now. Suddenly the crew calls Mike over and says he has made another discovery. Although the signal is very weak, it can be seen that the monster should be approaching this way. This is indeed the case. The Kraken, after hunting, is preparing to go home for a nap. At this time, Wade and his brother come to the main control room. After finding the activation code for the secret weapon and trying it, they find the weapon is still usable. Mike and others find that the Kraken is getting closer and closer to them, and they all gather in front of the screen. At this time, Ali also comes over and exclaims that this guy is really the Kraken recorded in ancient books. What to do now is to not move at all, otherwise, the creature will definitely launch an attack on them. But staying still is impossible, because the Kraken is swimming close to the seabed, directly toward the submarine. So Mike quickly directs the crew to silently maneuver the submarine to a lower platform. Thinking they has escaped, the Kraken, moving without lifting its tentacles, collides with rocks, which fall and hit the submarine, making a sound. Everyone on board holds their breath, staring motionlessly around, silently praying God bless. After a while, nothing happens, but as expected, trouble arrives. Because the submarine is beyond its critical depth, the hull can't withstand the pressure. Meanwhile, the submersible is still trying to dock with the submarine. Finally, in the right place, it accidentally activates the beacon, whose sound catches the Kraken's attention right away. Even with a meal in front of it, the Kraken races toward its lair. This gives Mike and his team a chance to breathe. They ascend right away and launch an emergency buoy for help. But Wade is in trouble. The Kraken is about to come back. Wade successfully opens the chamber containing the secret weapon by restarting the system, but accessing it requires crawling through a long pipeline. After crawling for a while, Wade reaches the destination and prepares to activate the weapon, but it isn't smooth. The weapon needs more time to charge. Just then, the Kraken spots them and prepares to teach them a lesson. Sensing danger, everyone quickly hide in the submarine, but the beacon above keeps beeping, accurately locating them. The Kraken coils its tentacles around the submarine. The tossed submarine begins leaking, but luckily, the secret weapon finishes charging. A powerful energy bursts into a dazzling blue light. The weapon is indeed very powerful. The Kraken is burned red by the overpowering energy, looking almost medium. Well done. The violent explosion shockwave rushes straight into the sky, even reaching outer space. After a few minutes, the surroundings fall into a deathly silence. Wade thinks the matter should be settled, and prepares to destroy the secret weapon. After all, it's too powerful to fall into other hands. As the self-destruction mode is activated, they have 5 minutes to escape. Wade is so scared that he hurries out to find his brother. The two brothers call on the remaining people to flee for their lives. 5 minutes to escape is really too short. At this time, everyone runs to the submersible at the fastest speed, only to find that the submersible can't complete the separation. Trouble occurs in the nick of time. Wade yells, "Use a crowbar to pry." Unexpectedly, it really succeeds at the last second. The huge shockwave blows the submersible away, and it's unknown whether Wade and they are still alive. Mike and others have successfully reached the sea surface, and everyone comes to the deck to anxiously wait for the return of Wade and the others. They observe with binoculars over and over again, but the water is still quiet. Just then, the sea surface suddenly ripples. Looking carefully, it's the submersible floating up, and the people inside even open the hatch. Seeing this scene, everyone dances with excitement. Later, everyone goes ashore alive and sees their anxiously waiting relatives. The film ends here. There are many shocking shot treatments in the movie. The scene where the submarine first crashes into the sea monster is simply amazing. The director actually uses a 4-minute long shot, filming all the way from inside the submarine to the outside, and then back to the inside without cutting once. This shooting technique is really ruthless. It's said that there were 26 NG times during the shooting, and the director was almost driven to explode on the spot. Finally, the male lead himself figured out how to change the movement before it was finally passed. The process is frustrating to think about. There's also the segment where the sea monster's tentacles drill into the submarine. The director's semi-solid semi-CG hybrid technology is amazing. Looking closely at the suckers on the sea monster's tentacles, each has a different pulsation frequency. The sticky texture and the overwhelming oppressive feeling make people exclaim that it's too real. And although the film on the surface is a simple action-packed film of a submarine fighting a sea monster, when dug deeper, its core is actually to explore human desire and natural punishment. The secret weapon in the film, which can mess up the marine ecology, is simply the embodiment of human arrogance. The sea monster suddenly appearing is completely nature's counterattack against human self-destructive behavior. At first, I thought the giant octopus was too hateful and wanted to eat more at night to vent my anger, but after thinking carefully, I found the director's ulterior motives. If you like my channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to it.